By the time he came to the San Francisco Symphony in 1935, Pierre Monteux already had a spectacular international reputation.
Pierre Monteux was one of the signature changes in this orchestra's history. Now, his pedigree was enormous. We must remember that Pierre Monteux was the man who was conducting the Rite of Spring the night of its premiere. He had conducted orchestras all over the world. This man was an extraordinary and very experienced conductor. And for the San Francisco Symphony to nab him was an amazing achievement.
In 17 years, the longest tenure of any music director in the symphony's history, Monteux would begin to build the San Francisco Symphony's national reputation. In March 1947, Monteux would lead the orchestra on a monumental 9,000-mile journey, the San Francisco Symphony's first national tour. Captured in this home movie, the tour crisscrossed the United States, playing in big cities and small towns across America. It was an orchestral marathon. 53 cities, 56 concerts, 57 days. A grueling schedule that no American orchestra has attempted since.
We used to perform a concert and then leave at 12:01 a.m. And then we'd arrive at our destination for the next concert.
The orchestra would stay in hotels only twice. The rest of the time, the train was home, with cities and countryside flying by.
I had a lot of fun. I mean, I was 20 years old. I had a good time.
It was a tour of many memorable moments, some more than others.
Marcia Van Dyke was in the first fiddle section. A good violin player, very pretty girl, and she had aspirations to be a movie star, and at practically every place we'd stop, there were newspaper people, not for Monteux, not for the orchestra, but for Marcia. On the tour, she had gotten engaged to our first horn player, Bill Sabatini, and that was in Life magazine, and we were on tour and nothing.
But for those 8 weeks in 1947, it had become something. It became America's orchestra.
This tour was one of the great high points, I think, in the symphony's history.
The San Francisco Symphony's reputation would continue to grow in the 60s under the leadership of Viennese conductor Joseph Kripps. In 1966, Time magazine declared San Francisco one of the nation's 11 elite orchestras. With its national reputation finally and firmly established, it was time to look abroad. With the young Seiji Ozawa now at the helm, the symphony set out on its first European tour in 1973. The highlight would come behind the Iron Curtain in Moscow, with the great cellist and Soviet dissident Mstislav Rostropovich.
Actually, the Russian authorities were discussing whether to have him play or not. Seiji Ozawa told them that if he did not play, that the orchestra would not play. So that was going on right until the first concert.
Here comes Slava Rostropovich in triumph to his homeland, accompanied by the San Francisco Symphony, one of the most serendipitous things that I can ever imagine happening. This is the stuff of legend.
I can't tell you the way that man played like an angel that night. After the performance, Seiji sat down on the podium and bawled like a baby. It was incredible.
It was just the beginning of the symphony's ascent to international acclaim, a reputation further enhanced when music director Herbert Blomstedt arrived in 1985. Under his direction, the symphony began touring annually 1 year later.
It helps to establish the orchestral sound when you play the same program in many venues and for different publics.
I think touring is absolutely essential. It's virtually impossible to build a national or international or even local reputation for an orchestra that doesn't tour.
When the symphony is invited regularly to appear at the proms in London, or at the Lucerne Festival, or in Salzburg, it doesn't get much better than that.